Okay, this is kind of a vibe. Not for the video, but it's kind of aesthetic. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Deanna Lee. I am so excited for today's video because I have been waiting for this moment, because today we are going to be covering spring and summer trends for 2024. And this year, I personally am determined to feel my best this spring because I am a fall fashion girl. I love fall fashion, and then I usually get a little confused and lost in the spring and summer. So we are going to make sure we are prepared to feel our best. Here's the structure for today's video. First, I'm going to be going over the top 10 biggest trends that I'm seeing or reading about already. From there, I'm going to talk about color trends that we're seeing for spring and summer this year, then accessories trends. Then I have a list of honorable mentions because there are other things that are trending that maybe just weren't as big. There's so much, you guys, that I couldn't possibly cover it all in one video. Finally, chapter 5 of this video, I'm going to give you some tips on how to shop trends without going crazy or totally breaking your budget, because you don't need to follow every single trend, spoiler alert, and I'm going to give you some tips as to how to stay intentional as you go and shop these trends. My intention with this video is not for you to go and shop every single one of these trends. Of course, you might not even shop any of them. But if you're watching this video, chances are you're like me and you like to play around with trends. I will have curated boards linked down below. Each of these will link to my Shop My for each of these trends. In case you are interested in one of them, you can go directly to those and shop some of my picks. And if you'd like some outfit inspo around these trends, be sure to, of course, subscribe for when I start styling them, but also check me out over on TikTok and Instagram because I do post a lot of outfit inspo over there as well. So without further ado, let's get into the top 10 spring trends for 2024. Number 1, and this one I feel is going to be a little controversial, but I feel like there are ways to incorporate it that can be very wearable, and that is sheer clothing. So this was all over runways. A lot of runways were showing these very dreamy white cascading dresses that were pretty much completely see-through. And I can't even actually post a lot of the photos here because they're so see-through, I probably will risk my chances of monetization. But I read on Vogue that the concept here is less about being provocative and more about freeing the body and the human form. Of course, we saw a little bit of this in the fall with the very controversial no pants trend that we saw on Kendall Jenner. I feel like it's mostly like an influencer trend. I don't think people are wearing it in day-to-day life necessarily. So that's how we're seeing it on the runways and how influencers have been styling it so far. In stores, I'm seeing a lot of mesh pieces that are see-through. Some of them may have a like modesty panel or some kind of covering underneath built in, which is really nice. I'm also seeing a lot of sheer lace, which I think can be a really fun layering piece. You could layer it over or under things, of course. And then we're also seeing, kind of like what I'm wearing now actually, see-through crochet. I'm seeing in stores a lot of crochet knits that are so light and delicate that they almost look like a beach cover-up, but they're not beach cover-ups. But of course, this trend will migrate over into beach cover-ups when it starts to become that season. I also noticed during the holiday season, kind of when this trend started, a lot of influencers were wearing see-through embellished dresses that were just gorgeous. A lot of them were skin toned, but came with, again, some kind of shorter dress underneath to line it so you aren't totally revealed. I think we're gonna see this a lot when we start seeing like galas and prom season. I think this style is going to be big, almost like you are just draped in gemstones. Another way I'm seeing it that's very wearable, I think, is lace tops layered over something else, whether it's a little cami or maybe a bralette. I think that can be a little more modest and can be very nice for a night out. But I'm also seeing people layer these lace tops under something else too, which I think is obviously much more modest. So I think we're more likely to see things like little touches of lace and mesh and maybe cutouts with lace and mesh, or really seeing people in these full-on see-through outfits that are like all over Revolve and other stores right now. Trend number 2, and I feel like this one is no surprise. I feel like we see a variation of this every spring, but that is knitwear. So knitwear that is transitioning into the spring season. Kind of again like what I have on now, a nice light crochet with some kind of open detail, so it breathes a little bit but still gives you a little bit of warmth and coziness. Very much a transitional piece, but also just in general a spring and summer piece, and just overall very gorgeous and luxurious textures, so kind of more unique textures. I think I mentioned in my fall trends video that we were seeing like jewelry that looks like it's almost a piece of modern artwork, and I feel like we're kind of starting to see that in knitwear as well. Like the texture on the knitwear itself is very artistic. So I just think it's a great, really practical trend. And there are so many ways you can incorporate it between dresses, skirts, even pants, tops, anything you want. On to trend number 3. Overwhelmingly, the biggest article of clothing I've seen all over stores already are dresses. Now, I know it might not sound that monumental that we're seeing dresses for the spring, but I have just never seen this many dresses in spring collections. Like, they are all over, and there's so much variety, and there's so many micro trends within dresses. I think as a collective whole, we're becoming really into dresses and styling dresses in new ways, which I think is really fun. Overall, we're seeing longer lengths, so midi to maxi length dresses, as well as for skirts in general, we're seeing a fuller fit, so more of a flare or an A-line cut. But just to go over them all quickly, here are kind of the micro trends within the dress trend that I'm seeing. Knit dresses, white dreamy dresses. This is actually should have been number 1 because this is huge. Every store is dropping these frilly, beautiful, I think Vogue called them diaphanous. I don't know if I'm saying that word correctly, but they called them diaphanous dresses. But with the white dress trend, we're seeing a lot of, especially on the runway, a lot of these very sheer dresses with like frilly details. It's so cute. I already mentioned maxi dresses. Finally, of course, we have sheer dresses. I already mentioned that. We have next two kind of go hand in hand, but I'm seeing baby doll dresses and smocked dresses. These like look like they belong on a little kid to me, like Y2K, but not in a good way. One, I didn't know how to describe this, so I wrote down dresses with tails, question mark. Basically, I was seeing a lot of dresses more on the formal side with some kind of satch attached to them. I feel like last year we were seeing like a neck detail, almost like a scarf dangling down, but now I'm seeing it kind of more at the waist. Affectionately call them tails, but I wish I didn't delete my Twitter because maybe a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, I tweeted, I called this one. I said, we are getting dangerously close to dresses over jeans coming back into style. And it's here, you guys. I was right. I knew it. Fashion is cyclical. It really is. And I started to see things coming into trend that were trendy just before the big market collapse in 2008. In 2008, nobody knew what to do with themselves. So in an effort to be stylish and try something new, people were just wearing dresses over their pants, over their jeans. But I've actually seen this done in some really cool ways. Particularly, there was a small creator whose video I will pop up here, who I follow on Instagram, who did this in a really elegant way. And I commented on it. I was like, you may have just made me love this trend. So it can be done in a nice way. I just don't think we should go back to how we were styling it in 2008. No thanks. And the last dress trend I'm going to talk about, this is a prediction from me. Obviously, we all know red is the moment, red is the color of the year, she's that girl, we get it. I have a prediction that frilly red dresses are going to be all the rage this summer. I think there's something very European summer about it. I know House of CB has a dress like this, but I think this is going to be like the next it girl dress. Somebody's going to come out with a frilly red dress. Maybe it's House of CB, maybe it's Heiress Beverly Hills, I don't know. Someone's going to come out with a dress that's like the it dress, and it's going to be red, just you wait. And speaking about our roughly red dresses, that brings me to trend number 4, which is ruffles. Last year we saw kind of the mermaid ruffles where they kind of cascade down. Back when we had the Little Mermaid movie come out, that was very in, and I think they're coming back. But we're also seeing ruffles all over other kinds of clothing. We're seeing ruffles in swimwear, and one thing I think especially will be big are ruffled white skirts. We're seeing them kind of pop up in the fall, and I think people will be eager to break them out again in the spring. Another detail trend that I'm very excited about, I've talked about it before in like all my videos pretty much, but it's back. I don't know if it ever left, but it's bigger than ever, and that is roses, rosettes, floral appliques. It's so cute. It's so iconic. It can be done to death, and I think I'm still gonna love it. These roses are bigger than ever. Like, we're seeing giant roses taking up the entirety of a garment. We're seeing like roses all over. We're seeing roses on shoes. We're seeing roses on hats, gloves, like you name it. They're everywhere. They were all over the runway. Hailey Bieber was pictured carrying a rose. Watch out for roses. They are so cute. I also noticed Isabel Mathers posted this bikini that I was obsessed with. I'll post it here. And it's just a plain old black bikini, but with contrasting cream colored roses. And I loved it so much. But the bikini is $300. So I just DIY'd the bikini of my dreams, and I love it. It's so cute. And I think just in general, this is a very easy trend to DIY. They're so easy to just like sew on to a piece of clothing, or if you don't want to sew, you can even just use a safety pin and pin it temporarily, kind of like a brooch. If I don't shut up, I'm going to talk about roses literally this whole video, so I'm going to force myself to shut up. All right, the next trend, I'm sure no one's going to be surprised by this, but I'm seeing a lot of stores specifically put out edits for this style or this aesthetic, and that is the Euro summer aesthetic, the European summer aesthetic. Last year, everyone, it seemed, went to Europe, or at least every influencer in the world was in Europe last year, and I think a lot of people were inspired by that to book trips this year, of course, you know. And a lot of stores are already coming out with European summer edits or resort edits that are very obviously European summer inspired. Something you would see someone wearing on the Amalfi Coast, something very summery in like reds and greens and more like earthy tones. Those like headscarves, the patterned headscarves, or like, again, the white frilly dresses very much plays into this trend, or like that red ruffly dress that I'm predicting is going to be it. I think that would be really good for this trend as well. Usually like strappier sandals, more like a gladiator sandal, like we kind of think of the Mediterranean. I feel like when you think of European summer, you think of like the Mediterranean countries. The next trend is something we're already seeing in winter a bit, but I think is going to be even bigger for spring and summer, and that is flared pants. In the winter, we're seeing it mostly as like loungewear, knitwear, like the Skims fold over pants, lots of jersey cotton, things like that. But in the summer, I think we're going to be seeing this a lot more in trousers and jeans, maybe even linen pants with a flare cut. Overall, the flare style is just becoming a lot more popular, and it's very summery because it's very reminiscent of bell bottoms. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing bell bottoms as well, because we're seeing a lot of bohemian elements in general. A lot of these trends are very bohemian. They're also very flattering. If you're petite like me, like they make you look a lot taller. This next one was another trend that I'm seeing all over, but I didn't know how to quite describe it. So I wrote down printed pieces with an inkjet look. Inkjet referring to like an inkjet printer. So like if you were to print something out, the way it looks like on like a piece of printer paper. Like, I hope that makes sense. But some of these are kind of more tie-dye inspired, very retro 70s looking. Again, those will go very nicely with your bell bottoms or your flared pants. But I'm also seeing things that are just photorealistic, which is super interesting. This trend is a little bit too loud for me. I don't see myself wearing it, but I think it's very cool. And I also think it's a really nice opportunity for artists to kind of display their work, maybe collaborate with designers. I think that would be a really cool thing to see. But it's not like a traditional graphic tee where it's like printed just like in the center of a t-shirt or something like that. It pretty much takes up the entire garment everywhere. And I'm seeing like matching sets too that will have like the same artwork. So number 9, this trend is cargo everything. I know in the past we've seen like cargo pants and cargo skirts, but now we're seeing cargo everything. I'm seeing cargo jumpsuits, cargo tops, cargo jackets, cargo dresses, like just all cargo everything. Abercrombie just put out a whole bunch of pieces that are all cargo military inspired with like the big what are they called, like welt pockets, I think they're called, like the pockets that like pop out. And finally, our last trend of the top 10, I'm very excited about this one. It is structural pieces. I think this is so cool, and it goes along with what I said earlier about how your clothing can kind of look like a piece of modern artwork. It's literally like people are sculpting out of clothing to create these really unique, extravagant shapes. And I love it. I think it's so cool. I've seen it a ton on the runways, and I'm also seeing it a lot in bridal collections. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of sculpture looking brides this year because it's just so cool, especially for like a second dress. For those of you who like to do second dresses for like your reception party, I'm seeing it a lot for that. Kind of along with this trend too, it's very closely related. We're seeing a return of the bubble dress. Before you get the ick, I know when I hear the word bubble dress, I'm like, oh, that's like another one of those icks from Y2K. Like, I think they're actually being done very well. I wore a dress like this. It was a Ronnie Kovo dress this holiday season, and it was like an asymmetrical cut bubble dress with a giant rosette detail. Basically, this trend has gotten a glow up since the last time we saw bubble skirts. It's very cute. I like it a lot. I think it's very cute on a petite frame. Next up, I'm going to briefly go over color trends. Red is continuing to rage on and rage on strong. Lots of swimwear drops are red, and I think this is very lifeguard, which is like a vibe. In the winter, so we saw like a light kind of icy blue. In the summer, I'm seeing a lot of bright, more cobalt blues, as well as teals. So watch out for blue. this summer. Third color trend, and again, we saw this a little bit last year with the Meredith Blake trend, but that is contrast trim. I'm seeing it even more than we saw last year, especially again on swimwear. And with that, since we are seeing the contrast trim on swimwear, I'm starting to also see black and white striped swimwear. And I have a strong feeling we are going to see some Barbie inspired swimsuits, kind of like the iconic striped swimsuit. I don't know if we're going to see this exact fit because it really is so retro and iconic, but I think we're going to see some variations on this for sure. Somehow Barbie is still influencing fashion, like it's got a hold on society, but hot pink. I'm seeing so much hot pink in stores, which is crazy, like coming out of the last few years where everything has been beige and gray. I'm also seeing in these bright colors, I'm seeing a lot of matching suiting. Another color we're seeing a lot of, especially in monochrome looks, is butter yellow. We saw butter yellow last year, and butter yellow is coming back, and I think it's kind of getting more of a masculine touch, a little bit more of that 80s business core too, but mixing it with these bright colors, which is very interesting. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about some accessories trends. Number one, I swear it's going to happen, you guys. I keep seeing it kind of start to show up in stores at the start of seasons, and then it doesn't really take off, but I think it will take off for the summer, and that is hair jewelry. So basically I saw a lot of like rings attached to braids, as well as these big chunkier details, again, that kind of look like a piece of artwork in your hair. And next, this is no shock to anybody, I think, but hair bows. They're definitely gonna continue to rage on, I'm sure. Bows in general. I wonder what else we're gonna start seeing bows on. I have a feeling we're gonna start seeing bows on bags. Like, you know how influencers used to kind of tie scarves around their bags? I think we're gonna start seeing that, but with bows, if we haven't already. I haven't seen it, but maybe we do. Ooh, next up is one that I find very exciting, and that is the imperfect pearls or Baroque pearls. I actually have a pair already, so I'll show you. Here are what mine look like. Right, so they're not like the best looking pearls in the world. They look very unique. And I feel like this is just like the big trend for jewelry now. Like you'll see my ring is kind of the same way, like very hammered, very natural look. Like it just kind of came out of the ground like that. I also just got a top from H&M, which I featured over on my TikTok and Instagram, that has the same kind of pearl detail, but on the top itself. The next one is something I'm also very excited about, slingback pumps for the spring and summer. And going back to putting bows on things, I have a strong feeling people are going to be tying bows to the back of their pumps. It's like the perfect opportunity. It's the perfect little spot to put a bow. I love this trend. It reminds me of the Dior slingback pumps, which have always been on my wish list. If I were to buy a designer shoe today, I would buy those. And I actually, funny enough, I wanted them for years, and I have like a saved search that like emails me every time there's like a new pair of Dior slingbacks, like, you know, like on eBay or a Vestiaire Collective, because I want to buy them secondhand. And they've always been like $300 secondhand. And I went and I searched, you guys, for the Dior slingback the other day. And those pre-loved slingbacks shot up $900. So that's how you know people are searching for them. They're becoming popular again. They're going to be the new it girl shoe, hands down. So unfortunately, I didn't snag them while they were $300, but most of them are kitten height. I'm probably going to opt for a higher pump because I actually think kitten heels are harder to walk in. They are mostly kind of a stiletto skinny heel, but if you feel more comfortable in a chunkier heel, by all means, wear the chunkier heel. Or if you don't like this trend at all, don't wear the shoes. It's fine, no one cares. Ooh, and the last accessories trend that I want to mention is sporty sunglasses. And when I say sporty, like I mean sporty. Like think about the sunglasses you see in like a 7-Eleven. Yeah, like that's the sunglasses I'm talking about. I saw Princess Polly had these all over their store. Revolve had some. Delaney Childs posted her story. It was actually her in a gas station with like gas station glasses on. And she was like, I love gas station glasses. Like they're gonna have a big moment this summer. I think I'm more of like the retro sunny girl. Like, I don't know, it's not really for me, but I think they're really cool and really fun. And also like affordable. Like just go to 7-Eleven, get some sunglasses, boom, you're on trend. Now I'm just gonna kind of rapid fire through the honorable mentions. Obviously, quiet luxury. The apron trend, unusual styling and styling hacks. This is a big TikTok thing. It's a big it girl thing. Just kind of styling your clothes in a way you wouldn't think to. Straight leg jeans, no longer too baggy, and we don't want skinny jeans, so we're going with a nice straight leg in the middle. The boat neck top, it has boat in the name, so it's summery. Next is ruching and drapery, we kind of talked about that. Asymmetrical pieces, especially a lot of slanted shoulder tops. Next is cutouts and slashes. Leopard print, metallics are huge. Last year it was really only silver, so I didn't play into it. but I'm seeing representation for us gold girlies. Coach came out with a gold tabby finally. I was like, why is it only silver? And that is it for my honorable mentions. Also, just off the top of my head, something I could really see coming into style this year is like pearl nails. But I think between pearls trending, watch out for that. I hope I'm right on this. And finally, last chapter of this video, I have a handful of tips to help you stay intentional and not get overwhelmed as we start to become bombarded with trends once again, as we do every season. So here we go. Number one is to lean into what excites you. Like if a trend excites you right away and you feel like connected to it, drawn to it, it's probably because it will fit really well into your personal style. So lean into those trends. Contrary, stay away from trends that give you the ick. And I mean it, stay away from them. The reason I emphasize it is because it's very easy to get the ick from a trend, but then you see it styled a million ways on TikTok and a million ways on Instagram, and eventually you're convinced. And you're like, oh, now I need a denim maxi skirt. Like a denim maxi skirt made me want to barf a month ago, but now I want one. So don't let that happen to you. If other girls like it, that's totally fine. I think they rock it really well. For me personally, it gave me the ick, and I let myself get influenced and I tried it. I styled it in my fall video, and looking back, there was a reason it gave me the ick, because it wasn't gonna suit me. If your gut instinct said to stay away from it, you stay away from it. Do you hear me? Because if you don't, you're just gonna end up decluttering it. You're gonna donate it or sell it later. So that being said, if you really do love something, go big on it and get it out of your head that it might go out of style. A big example of this for me is chunky shoes. Chunky shoes are not really in style anymore. They were huge for a few years, and I love chunky shoes. Immediately, it was a yes for me. Now I have a closet full of chunky shoes, and I love them, and I'm not gonna stop wearing them just because they're out of style, but I took advantage of that opportunity to stock up on them, just in case we stop seeing them in years to come. And my next tip is to find ways to tinker with trends. Obviously, my favorite way to do this is with renting, so this is not a sponsored video or anything like that, but I love Fashion Pass. Or you can just do what I did in my recent Shop With Me video. You can go into stores and just try things on in store without the intention of buying. You can even leave your wallet in the car. The reason I like renting a little more is because you can actually kind of see how it fits with your wardrobe. But if you don't want to rent clothing, you could of course always shop your friends' closets. Ask your friends if they have any of these pieces. If you're maybe thinking of trying out a cool crochet look, ask your friends who are similar sizes to you, do you have anything I could borrow? And then maybe play around and see if it fits in your wardrobe. And I think we should, one, have more slumber parties, but two, we should have more like fashion shows together. Like, you know, when you were a little kid and you put on your friends' clothes and like you styled outfits and like had a little runway and like took pictures. Was it just me? Or did you guys do this too? Next tip is to shop your closet. You might have pieces in there that you totally forgot about that align with these trends. And my next tip, number 6, is DIY. I already mentioned this with the floral appliques. That's a very easy one to DIY. You could start learning to crochet your own tops and have something very unique. My next tip before you buy any trends is to do a lifestyle check-in, right? So before you go buy a see-through mesh dress, ask yourself how often in your current lifestyle, be honest, will you be wearing that see-through dress? If you're working a 9 to 5 every day, I don't think you're going to be wearing that dress very often. But if you go out with your friends a lot to clubs and things, maybe you're into that scene, maybe it is something you would wear. Do a check-in with your lifestyle and make sure it's something that's actually going to get worn. I recommend limiting yourself to like 2 or 3 trends that you're going to buy into every year, because the chances are you're going to get tired of some of them. And really, you should only be going for the trends that really excite you and feel like they're aligned with your personal style. And then if really there aren't any trends that excite you this year, like, you don't need to buy them. Just you do you. This is all for fun. It's a great way to get inspiration for your personal style, but at the end of the day, personal style is very personal and it should be all about you, what you love, and what expresses the inside out. So I know that sounds so cheesy, but it's true. Like, that's how fashion can be used in a positive way. Okay, you guys, so that is it for my what feels like a very long-winded video about spring and summer trends. Let me know down below which of these trends you are most excited for, or which of these trends gives you the ick. It's okay to be honest. If I said I love it and it gave you the ick, I won't be hurt. And also let me know which you would rather see next, because I'm torn between doing either a spring trends haul or a styling spring trends video. Let me know what you would prefer. As always, be sure to subscribe if you liked this video, if you want to see more like this. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything else you want to see. Find me on TikTok and Instagram for lots more outfit inspo and to kind of get a little bit of a glimpse into my life. And make sure to like this video if you want to see more like this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.